Hello and welcome to Mic'd Up with Mars, our podcast where we will unlock mobile user acquisition and the world of ad tech. In the second episode of our series, we are joined by Ankit Rawal, who is the Director of Business Development and Partnerships at Affle. So welcome, Ankit.
Thanks, Diksha. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to today's episode.
And we're joined in with conversation with Pascal Jaeger, who's Team Lead Mobile Marketing and Product Owner at Pixum app. Welcome to you as well, Pascal.
Thank you very much, Diksha and Ankit, for having me.
Great. So we're looking forward to the conversation today. It's going to be really exciting. I hope we're all set and mic'd up. Over to you, Ankit.
Pascal, welcome once again. Looking forward to speak to you. I think why don't we start with hearing your story. Tell a little bit about yourself to the listeners. Also share a little bit about what Pixum is and your role at Pixum.
Well, first of all, thank you again for having me, both of you. My name is Pascal Jaeger. I'm 33 years of age, and I do currently live in Germany, in the former German capital city, Bonn, which is a neighboring city of Cologne, and that's basically where the Pixum headquarters is situated. And a little bit about myself before Pixum, maybe. First of all, I've been working amongst other companies for Nintendo of Europe in Frankfurt as a CRM manager. That always has been my childhood dream. I love the Nintendo consoles, etc., and also the iconic brands like Mario and Zelda. And afterwards, I've been working for let's call it a grown startup, German startup called Unister. They were based in Leipzig. And they've been dealing with online travel platforms, basically kind of like Booking.com. But unfortunately, they didn't make it, and they turned bankrupt in the 2 or 3 years ago, and I left them about 5 years ago. And then I joined Pixum in 2016 and have been with them for the past 5 years. And for those who have never heard of Pixum, probably that's quite some of you, it's one of the leading online photo services in Europe. And what we do is we print your favorite photos onto basically anything that you can imagine, any product that you can imagine, from photo books, wall calendars, wall art, mugs, puzzles, etc., you name it. And what makes us so unique and also distinguishes us from the competition is that we have basically superior quality and unmatched quality of our products. We have an excellent customer service, so we have a 100% customer satisfaction rate. If there's anything with your product, you can call our customer service and we will ship a new product to you just so that you're satisfied. And obviously it's our Pixum app, and basically that brings me to what I do at Pixum, because I have the privilege of working both in the marketing side of things and the technology side of things for Pixum. I'm the product owner for the Pixum app, and I'm the team lead for all mobile app marketing activities. So basically with my team, together with my team, we are fully aligned with the entire value creation, from developing the features over to successfully promoting those, and finally by offering an intuitive journey leading to a sale in the app. And it's a role I like very much. Every day is different, and my team does a superb job every year in exceeding expectations that are being met to us.
Wow, quite an interesting journey. Whether it is playing games for a living or clicking pictures and delivering those moments to people, I think quite an interesting one, Pascal. I think today any conversation you do has to talk about COVID, right? Obviously, all of us have seen through the human tragedy which is still playing out. But curious from a business perspective, how has things shaped out for Pixum during COVID? I'll give you an example. For us here at Affle, we really saw this EFGH category, whether it is entertainment, e-commerce, food delivery, grocery, health tech, really spot out across the globe, whether it was in US to here in India. So curious, how has COVID played out for Pixum?
Frankly speaking, it's been a kind of a roller coaster ride for us, because once the news about the pandemic have been spreading like in March 2020, at first we saw a significant drop in sales because there was a lot of uncertainty among the population, among our customer base, and so for about 2 weeks we just saw a big drop in sales. However, once the lockdowns have been initiated and the people got a bit more used to the situation, we soon saw the sales speeding up to basically unprecedented levels in both April and May, leading to record sales for us. So we were one of the winners in that situation. And then you might wonder why did that happen? I mean, you just mentioned it. There were some verticals that have benefited from the whole scenario, and we, as an e-commerce platform where people can order our products through our app, it was beneficial for us. And you probably know the situation yourself.
Yep.
You have a lot of photos on your device, and you never have the time to sort them, and even less time to create photo products out of them. And since people were forced to stay at home, and they had sometimes for a long period of time, others temporarily, to quit their hobbies, which normally take place in the open air. Time was abundantly available for those people, and that was the time to basically internalize precious memories by designing the photo books or decorating their homes with wall art, or even ordering personalized puzzles to just kill time, because there was so much time available. So that was April, May, but afterwards, when the lockdown phase was over, basically we saw again an opposite trend. So our sales were dropping again because people were using the time that they eventually had again, the freedom, basically the regained freedom, to enjoy the time outside, meeting people, doing even some little holidays, even though it was not the far away holidays that they usually could do. But for instance, in neighboring countries, people were doing holidays like in Austria, Switzerland. And that led to sales drop again until October. And then again, lucky for us, for our business, another lockdown took place at the beginning of October.
Yep.
We called it first the lockdown light. And then in the second part of December, we again had the hard lockdown, which is taking place up to now. So now until mid-February, maybe even end of February, this will be prolonged. And this led again to a very extraordinary Q4 for us in 2020. And it's been a turbulent year for us, but we were certainly one of the winners. We had a record year, and despite all the tragic happening, that's at least a little glimpse of joy for us that the business side of things was a good one. But obviously, the tragic side of the personal side of things, that one dominates. And I'm hoping for all of us that we soon get out of this period, because it's a difficult one for everyone.
Absolutely. I think from a human tragedy perspective, this is unprecedented. But what is also interesting is that I saw this quote which said that there are decades when nothing happens, and then there are weeks when decades happen, right? And we saw one chart playing out, for example, in US vis-a-vis e-commerce share of retail, which jumped from say 16% to 28% just in a matter of few weeks. And that jump from say low single digits to upper teens took 10 years. So what happened in say the first decade happened in few weeks in US. And what is also fascinating to me is some of this consumer behavior which happened due to the lockdown, as you rightly mentioned, would also stick post even all of us are inoculated. So for example, again, what we are seeing is that a lot of offices are going to become completely remote. They are going to work either hybrid or completely remote. So again, from your vantage point, Pascal, what consumer behavior and app engagement trends do you see will stick even after the pandemic is over?
Maybe first of all, to what you just mentioned, I can underline that there has been happening a huge shift also how people work. When I'm speaking about Germany, there's like right now basically the entire workforce is forced to work from home. When I speak about Pixum, we've started this basically in March already last year, where we were in a first work from home, then we had a hybrid situation, and now basically all the companies have the setup to work from home. That's a big change, and it also influences the market of housing, etc., because people don't necessarily need to live close by offices anymore because they can work from home. So there's a lot of things are happening and have been pushed and in the last 12 months. So that's quite interesting. When you ask about consumer behavior trends, basically there's two things that pop up in my head. Firstly, for us as a business, it has created a new product, a new rising star among our product base, our product portfolio, and that's the personalized photo puzzle. Maybe you have had that hype as well, at least here in Germany and also across Europe. I think it has been a hype where our production facilities couldn't meet the demand anymore. We had to stop promoting them in our marketing channels. And even on Amazon, the keyword puzzle has been among the top 10 keywords for a certain period of time. And that's because the puzzle is just such an ideal product to kill time. And on top of that is social. You can play with your family, and basically, there's an infinite amount of people who can partake in that. Let's call it a game. And we still see that this trend continues because there's a lockdown, but we also see the correlation with the lockdown. So whenever the lockdown ceased, we could also see that the sales were dropping again. So we don't think that this is a long-term trend, but we also believe that there's more awareness for such product. A second trend we could analyze was the characteristics of photos that were used to design photo products in 2020, because normally customers are ordering photos of Pixum at certain events throughout the year, like for instance Christmas, Valentine's Day, Easter, Mother's Day, etc. And usually we also have a peak after the holiday season, because when people do holidays, they return and they want to do a nice photo book out of their holidays. With the inexistence of holidays, however, in the last year, we were very curious on how this would develop, and we actually expected photo book orders to drop. But what we saw instead was that it was on a similar level as in 2019, and we were wondering how can this be? So what we can do with the photos that are being ordered through us is that we can analyze, for instance, the timestamp and the GPS coordinates. That's a part of photos that usually is given. It's not always available, but the date taken and the location it was taken is something we could analyze, and we saw a massive shift on our customer base there. Because normally the people would order photos they take from the very same year as the order is taking place. And for the last year, the people ordered photos that have been taken like 2 or 3 years ago.
This is quite interesting.
That's a significant change, and to us it was evidence that majority of users or customers have valuable photos on their devices, but they lack the time to create the photo products out of them. And what we additionally could find out with the GPS coordinates was that people were doing holidays, or the photos they ordered were from closer locations to their home base, basically, than usually, because usually they were traveling like far away to to Asia, to America. And last year, since they were not allowed to, or sometimes couldn't, now it's more the neighboring countries. And that was the second aha effect, basically, for us. And what does this mean for us as a business is that we need to invest more time and more technology into suggesting those events that are vital to the customer, and to find the best photos for them within those events. And we also need to come up with appealing designs and layouts which make an order at Pixum fast and convenient. And above all, it needs to make fun to design those products. It's something that we address already with our Magic Books functionality in the Pixum app. However, it's something that we can certainly improve on.
Okay.
Then what you've mentioned was also vaccinations. Vaccinations are taking place in Germany, yes, for quite some time already. I think we started at the end of December, but the amount of people being vaccinated only increases very slowly. So with the current speed, it's unlikely that we will have a normal summer period with holidays taking place in 2021. So I guess the longer the current situation continues, the more likely is it that our business, Pixum's business, will be negatively impacted, because it's obvious. Ultimately, our people will run out of precious photo memories, because they don't want to do photos from them playing at home, playing puzzles at home, obviously, but they want to rather do photo books from interesting travels, from special events that happen. And as long as they can't take place, it will hurt our business. I expect, though, that this will eventually, throughout 2021, we will return to what we call the old normal, and then we will also see similar trends seasonalities that we've seen in 2019. So that's at least what we hope for. And then the above mentioned, or the previously mentioned trends will discontinue, I suppose.
Very interesting. In fact, I can personally vouch for some of these trends, where I have now taken more vacations on road, driving around where I live, versus jumping on a plane. And absence of holidays is also, sometimes I think, am I working from home or living in office? So absolutely, I think very fascinating. One of the other interesting theme which is really came out last year, but obviously will play out this 2021, is the deprecation of IDFAs. In fact, this week itself, Apple came up with more information of how and when will this get implemented? I think spring of this year. And the jury is still out, though. How will it play out? I'm curious, how at Pixum are you getting ready for this big upheaval?
Yeah, it's a very interesting topic, and it's one that has certainly been the news of 2020 for all the marketeers on the app vertical, let's call it. And to me, it comes as a double-edged sword, because the one edge of the sword is the customer's perspective or the consumer's perspective, where I believe it's a vital step that Apple is taking, because it guarantees data privacy and leaves the decision whether or not I want to be tracked across apps up to the consumer. The other edge of the sword basically is the view from a marketeer's perspective, and obviously there's a lot of uncertainty regarding the extent this will have on businesses and also on attribution platforms. Because for a marketeer, it's super important to have available as much data as possible in order to be able to fine-tune campaigns, fine-tune the performance of campaigns, because every piece of data can lead to a more detailed campaign in the end. And it can be used for different content, for different imagery, target groups, etc. So all in all, I think this whole topic on the one hand it's a relief to the consumer, but also it's on the other hand probably more of a pain for the marketeers. A bit from maybe my personal perspective, we have seen a similar scenario with the cookie consent banner that was enforced recently, and I'm personally a bit annoyed by that, because I need to, whenever I browse to a page, the first thing I need to do is click on that accept all button, or don't accept it, of course, depending on your preference. And what I would love to have would be kind of like a default opt-in option, that I am not bothered by that anymore, that I accept being tracked, or accept, or that on the other hand, if I don't want to be tracked, that by default I'm opted out. I think the opted out version exists on iOS already with the limited ad tracking option, and this will be again an option in the future. But the default option is not existent, and it's maybe something that Apple can have a look at, because I think it would make people's life easier in the future.
No, that's so true.
You've mentioned that it has an impact on our business possibly as well. iOS is our strongest platform compared to Android, and we have major markets where iOS is the stronger OS. So Germany, Denmark, Switzerland are one of those. And what we are currently doing is we are drafting various custom screens and pop-ups that will educate the user of what's going on in our app, what kind of data we are tracking, and what we use it for, to make the hurdle of opting in to the usage of IDFA as small as possible. So we are trying to increase the conversion rates basically for IDFA. And undoubtedly that's a tough task, and nobody knows yet how high or low the opt-in rates are going to be. For instance, we had a call with Apple the other day about that. We were asking general questions about Apple search ads, what kind of things we need to change about it. And we were also asking about their expectancy regarding the opt-in rates, and they were like, guys, we don't know. That's something that we will also only figure out once this is live. And while for the cookie consent, for instance, probably the opt-in rates are above 90% for most pages, I believe it's for the opt-in rate for the IDFA is going to be much lower. I expect it to be around 25 to 45%, kind of similar to what we see also for the push opt-ins, because I think it's a similar topic there, whether or not you want to receive marketing messages. So I think it's a very big moment for every player in the mobile ad world. And as far as recommendations is concerned, I would recommend everyone to reach out to their specific ad partners that they have, the attribution platform partners. So in our case, that would be Apple, Google, Facebook, to mention the most important ones. And then also to our attribution platform partner, which is Adjust. We've reached out. They have a lot of blog entries on what you should do, what you shouldn't do. And I think most importantly is, it's vital to remain calm in all this. Be prepared as much as possible. And once the iOS 14.5 version is released, probably mid-March, I guess, that you monitor your KPIs very closely in the first days. And you do a lot of A/B testing with the wording, with the creatives that you use in order to catch more IDFA opt-ins. And that's basically my recommendation about this topic.
I think the other day I was joking with a few gaming publishers that now their team will become a little bit more holistic. they'll start maybe hiring more right-sided people with more creative skills and maybe creativity in terms of ads and motivations of why people click, and think of how FMCG companies come up with very emotional ads.
Yep.
I think maybe the left-handed analytical people, which had outnumbered the UA teams, will now get balanced with more creative people coming in, because these micro targeting and measurement is no longer there. So I think, yeah, as you rightly said, that we need to keep calm, we have to figure out the things, and obviously talk to as many stakeholders to see how this plays out.
Absolutely.
Cool. I think now coming to user acquisition, right? So how do you think UA approach has really changed, right? Because you yourself been within this organization for last 5 years, and even before that in the same industry. So how has UA really changed in the last few years? How do you see your KPIs or marketers' KPIs in general have been moving across the board? And more interestingly, what to expect this year?
Yeah, as you mentioned, I've been working in this segment, let's call it, for quite a while already, but I would still say it's a bit new. So user acquisition for the apps I've been doing for now 3 years, and before that I was more on the existing customer base side of things. So I was trying to, out of new customers, make them retain, make loyal customers out of them. So I know both perspectives. And for Pixum, the performance marketing, so the user acquisition has been one of the strong suits for the last decade or so. So we have a lot of experience there, and especially in the last 3 years, when a team around myself has been formed, the user acquisition for apps has been the one key focus for us. And we've always excelled in search channels like SEA, Apple Search Ads, ASO, and SEO, but we always had room for improvement in marketing platforms which are a bit higher up the funnel, like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and others, where first awareness needs to be created, and where you need a very strong design team, and especially a very good, well-staffed design team, because that's usually the bottleneck for us, that we don't have enough people to work on the topic. Obviously, they're very skilled, but simply the time is missing. A trend, what we saw in the last 2 years or so, is that influencer marketing has developed really well for us to acquire new customers, and we are shifting more and more budget there, because it's not just returning a strong performance in terms of marketing KPIs, but also has a very positive impact on our brand, because subtly the brand is being made more aware through Instagram, for instance. One channel that I want to talk more about here is the Apple Search Ads and its influence on organic traffic. That has been an interesting one to follow in the last couple of years. We've been working with Apple Search Ads from the start, and in the beginning it was yielding really, really nice performances for us with return on ad spend rates of above 200%.
Interesting.
But then Apple, smart as they are, they did some changes here and there. They, for instance, you probably know it yourself, they introduced some categories that are being shown between the ad and the first organic option that you can find, to give more prominence to the ad. And ever since, and with the growing competition also in our vertical, we saw those return on ad spend levels that were once about 200% dropping to below 100% these days. And that actually brings me back to your question, because beforehand, the return on ad spend was our main KPI that we looked at. So CPI, CPA were not the indicators that we primarily looked at. It was the return on ad spend for new customers. And that usually was a strong indication of how the marketing campaign has been working for the first purchase. But now when you see that the performance of some channels is dropping below 100%, it becomes even more important to have look at the bigger picture. And by bigger picture, I mean, what is the customer value over a longer period of time? And what we have been doing in the last couple of years already was analyzing such KPI, which we call the customer value. And it's looking at how much revenue has a customer generated over 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, and 24 months. And if the user or not has become profitable after those 2 years. If yes, well done to us if he has become profitable. If not, that's something where we need to re-evaluate our marketing campaign, because the initial costs have then been way too high and they would have to be adjusted. So I would recommend to everyone out there who's working in marketing to have this KPI in mind and not just look at the initial return that you're achieving, because I think, yes, it should be a marketer's goal. turning profitable with first purchases, yeah, it's sweet, but however, it's often difficult to achieve. So I think it's important to be closely aligned with your CRM team to develop customers into loyal customers. So that's very essential, and that interplay needs to be very well orchestrated and should be, yeah, those two teams should probably sit very closely together if they are in the office. Nowadays, it's a bit difficult with the home office, but there should certainly be a strong communication between those two teams.
Absolutely. I think finding the right LTV users is something very, very important, which you alluded to. One of the other interesting things which I have seen over the years, and what has really happened in the whole ad tech, martech world, has that for the last 10, 15 years has become very, very convoluted, right? There are so many different players, each one having a different strength. They offering their own campaign insights. And I think what I've found is marketers many a time struggle getting a lot of right insights. So they always joke that we are drowning in data, but really starving for knowledge. So, curious, have you have a similar challenge? Do you think a unified audience platform could be the right answer? We're able to really get right insights at the right time when you need it, so that you can create campaign-specific actions.
Yeah, interestingly, this has been a major topic in all the companies I've been working for so far. It really is a big topic out there, and one that probably there's no generic answer for that. So it always depends on your very unique needs within a company. I guess the ultimate goal for every company out there is, though, to have a unified platform, but it's rarely achieved. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I think one reason being that there's very intense competition out there, because the business focusing only on a single aspect that they need to optimize for business, they usually do a superior job than those who try to serve all aspects of the business, which is that unified platform. So for instance, I can give an example from Pixum. We've recently introduced a new tool which allows us to send email, push, app inbox, print, and other campaigns through that one unified platform, and it's super helpful, and we are working very efficiently with it, and we have the most relevant data in the tool. However, we still need to have separate tools, because that unified platform does not have everything in place. So we need to have a tool that does the in-app analytics for us in our app. We need another tool to monitor ASO activities. We need a tool for running A/B tests, etc. So there's always, I think, the trade-off between the best of breed solution, where you have one specific partner for, and they are very good at what they do with that specific topic, versus the all-in-one alternative. And like I said in the beginning when I introduced the topic, it's basically there's no correct answer to the question. It always depends on the individual needs from the business.
Yep.
What we at Pixum try to achieve nonetheless is to have a single source of truth when it comes to data. We have a very sophisticated self-service business intelligence platform, and with every tool that we introduce, and sometimes we still need to stick to those best of breed solutions, with every tool we connect the new data points in the BI tool, then we have them at one place and we can connect them with the existing data points. And that is a self-service that certainly boosts our performance, because we can make data-driven decisions that are relevant to all basically areas of our business, marketing, when it comes to campaign optimizations, product development, when it comes to journey optimizations, or may even be our customer service department, where we can see a drop or an increase of the net promoter score, so the customer satisfaction. I cannot give a good answer on that topic. I think it's always really remain the ultimate goal, but I've so far in my experience have not found that one platform that offers everything when it comes to tools and services. But certainly a goal should be to have this merged in the background for your business, to have that single source of truth.
I think absolutely, as long as you can have that as a North Star and you make continuous small progress towards it, I think we're moving on the right direction. Cool. No, I think this has been really insightful, but maybe let me change tracks a little bit. Let me zoom out a bit. So typically when you think of the startup ecosystem worldwide, right, you would think of maybe the Bay Area, Beijing, say Bangalore sometimes. But of late, what is interesting is Berlin and some of the other cities, even Cologne, where you are based out of, new companies are coming up, right? Whether it is yours at Pixum or say fintech companies like N26, Raisin, VFog. or even on-demand companies like Gorillas, Chocos, Lilium, which is very much on the mobility space, or even education tech, right? Like what you've seen with Blinkist or Babbel coming out of Germany. Germany is really becoming an interesting hub, at least in the Europe region, for new age startups, new cutting edge technology. So curious, what's your views on it from the vantage point you are in? How do you see that panning out in 2021?
Well, yeah, first of all, I'm very happy with the latest development regarding the startup ecosystem in Germany, because I think when it all started trending and booming, I think we were a bit late initially, but we can see that the awareness has been increased in the last couple of years. Let's call it even the last decade, where also the German politicians have been, they've identified the significance, and they accordingly also have invested more and more millions, and I think by now we are in the billions that are being invested into startups. And you've mentioned quite some examples already from Germany, some very known startups, like I can add a few more, like Zalando, Trade Republic in the fintech sector, Scalable as well. Adjust, the one we are partnering with as a mobile attribution platform, also located in Berlin. Bubble you mentioned, Blinkist you mentioned, also from Berlin. Komoot, I think, is another one where you can optimize your road bike or your hiking tours. And another one would be, for instance, from Munich is Flix Mobility, which basically allows you to travel cheaper by Flix buses or Flix trains that have recently been introduced. So there's a lot of known companies out there already. At least they're known in Germany and sometimes across Europe. And yeah, when you look a bit closer to the area I live in, which is the Cologne area, we also have a company or a venture capitalist, one of the biggest ones in Germany, that come from Bonn, which I introduced at the beginning. That's the city I live in, which is called Hightech Gründerfonds, a venture capitalist belonging to one of the biggest in Germany. And that's why this region is a very promising one for startups as well, next to the Berlin one, which is obviously the most promising one and prominent one. And there are basically two noteworthy startups that I can mention here. And I have these insights from a friend who was working for that venture capitalist that I mentioned beforehand. The one startup is called SoSafe, and they're dealing with cyber and IT security. And they probably have benefited a lot from the recent trends that people were forced, or the workforce was forced to work from home. And obviously the companies need to make sure that the valuable data, critical data, is kept on a safe place, even from working from home. And they have increased as a result their revenues, and it's a company that will probably receive further funding in the near future. It's definitely one of the hidden champions. And there's a second one which is called Amboss, which is an e-learning platform for medicine students, where you can find therapeutic recommendations via an app or also on the website, and that content is regularly updated by medical editors, and it's being utilized already in Germany in a lot of hospitals, and obviously also during the medicine studies. And especially the latter one that I just mentioned can be considered a hidden champion that probably will receive further funding soon.
Interesting.
Speaking from a private perspective, my brother has founded also a startup in 2014, I believe it was, a company called Mail Butler, also that they were founded in Berlin. And by now he can already call 20 employees his own. So it's also quite a nice success story. And when talking to him, he always mentions that it's so easy nowadays to create your own company, to become an entrepreneur, because with those digital products out there, that you basically don't need any capital to start with, or at least the capital that you require is very limited compared to the past, and that gives everyone with a nice idea, with smart people on board, the option to create a startup. And yes, you're right, Germany has become one of the strongest forces out there, and I think now with the Brexit that has taken place, I think UK is also one of the strong markets, but since they dropped out of the EU, probably Germany has now taken over as the leading eco base for Europe.
No, I think absolutely, definitely a lot of new companies are coming out of the region and across cities, not just Berlin. So great. Cool. I think now let's make it interesting as we come to the close. Let's make this a little more interesting. So what I'll try to do is I'll try to do a rapid fire. I'll shoot some questions and expect answers in maybe 10 to 15 words.
Okay.
So let's be a little more fun. So I'll ask you a question and I'll rapid fire to the next one once you respond in say 10, 15 words.
Mhm.
So Pascal, what makes you remain growth focused?
Tough one. I think that's my very own impulse, because not growing means stagnancy, and that's not fun, and I need fun.
Any quote that you live by?
I have it on my Xing and LinkedIn profile. It's from Confucius, and it's basically saying, choose a job you love and you will never work a day in your life.
Very true. Which one daily habit has been a game changer for you?
I think that's sports in general, whether it's running, cycling, football, anything that gives you balance in life to what you're usually doing on an everyday basis.
Interesting. Define Pascal Jaeger in one word.
One word. Determination.
Very interesting answer, Pascal. I think you really aced your rapid fire round. Kudos to you. Cool. I think as we come to a close, let me seek some parting thoughts from you for our listeners. What do you want to say to them about user acquisition and mobile ad tech in general?
Yeah, parting thoughts. First of all, thank you very much again for having me in this episode. It was a lot of fun, and yeah, certainly will recommend this to everyone I work with. Yeah, shout out to all listeners, especially also to my team at Pixum. And yeah, what I want to stress here is that I truly hope that we, even though Pixum as a business has been benefiting from the whole pandemic crisis, I truly hope that we can all return to the known normalcy soon, because I think we all deserve it. We all stood our ground, stayed at home, and we deserve to enjoy our freedom again very soon. So that's what I hope for everyone who's listening.
Absolutely, Pascal. It's equally fun to share insights and learnings about what's happening in the mobile ad tech ecosystem. And hopefully 2021 pans out when we go ahead much stronger and much healthier as a world, as an economy post-COVID.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Ankit and Pascal. That was a really enjoyable conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, we are at the end of today's podcast. Thank you for listening to Mic'd Up with Mars. I certainly enjoyed this riveting conversation, and I hope our listeners also enjoyed this deep dive into doing UA in Germany in the post-COVID world. You can head over to our website, mars.affle.com, for more insights, and you can also connect with Ankit and Pascal on LinkedIn. So that's all on today's episode. See you next time.